Well, guys, welcome back into Coach Spartman's Wild and Wacky Fun Notes. New unit here. We got the old data and statistics. This will be the old student handout Uno here. All right, this stuff you use in real life right here. Y'all want stuff you're going to use. Here it is. All right, today we're going to learn the difference between population and sample when it comes to dealing with statistics and data. First part. An office manager of a company with 1,000 employees is selecting snacks to stock an office vending machine. How could she determine what types of snacks the employees prefer? Pausing now so we can talk about it. Well, welcome back. All right, two ways. Number one would be that she could survey. I'm going to write in my fancy pen. She could survey each employee. Okay, that's called population. Or she could select random employees. Not all of them, just random ones. And that's called sample. Okay? So we have sample and population. That's two different ways to find out what they want. We could have asked everybody via email, or we could have went around the office or whatever. Or we could have just asked random people. All right, so when we're collecting data, the population references the entire group. So if you ask everybody, so if I want to do the whole population of 7th grade, I have to ask everybody. Data collected from the entire population is called a population statistic. That's the technical term, okay? The fancy term. All right. A sample is a portion of the population and should be a good representation of what the whole group would want. Exactly, probably not, but a good representation. So we call this data collected from the sample we call it sample statistic. An example would be 1 dog, 2 dogs, and 1 cat. Okay, well, if you come over here and you get the entire population, there are actually 4 dogs and 3 cats. So it's not always exactly right. It's just a general. All right, so we got 4 neighbors. They're interested in how people in their neighborhood spend their free time. So we're going to read each person's plan, collect data, and label whether it describes the population as a population or sample. So we're going to read what they're doing, and we're going to label what they're doing is getting information for the whole population or just a sample. All right, Curtis, I will email a survey to every person. That is population because it's every person. Ivory, I will go to our neighborhood park and ask each person at the park. Well, yes, she's asking every person at the park, but she's only at the park. Did she ask everybody in the neighborhood or just the ones who came to the park? She only asked the people who came to the park. So therefore, she only asked a sample of people. Because she didn't ask everybody in the neighborhood, because everybody in the neighborhood didn't come to the park. All right, Myra. Myra says, I plan to walk the neighborhood and survey every third house. So she only goes to every third house. So is that the whole neighborhood or just part of it? is part of it. So that's a sample. And Otha, she said, I plan to go door to door and ask every house in our neighborhood. Is she asking everybody? Yes, so that is a population statistic. All right, so we're going to use the information above to answer the questions 1 and 2. I'm going to pause now and let you answer those. Welcome back. All right, which neighbor collected a sample that would be most representative of the entire neighborhood? Explain your reasoning. All right. So the people who got a... Boy, that stinks. All right. So the people who got a sample were Myra, and Ivory. Myra went to every third house. Ivory only went to the park and asked the people at the park. So did she get a good representation of everybody? No, because she only asked the people at the park. So if she was asking, do you like being outside? Then that wouldn't be a good representation because only the people who like being outside are going to go to the park. Okay? But if Myra goes to every third house, she don't know if you like being outside or not. So is that going to be a good representation? Yes. So what we need to write is Myra's sample will better represent the neighborhood. Since she is selecting random houses, whereas Ivory is only surveying people who go to the park. Which may include or exclude, my bad, people who don't like the park. All right. Number 2. What are the advantages and disadvantages of collecting data from a population versus a sample? So, surveying a population gives you the most accurate data However, it is difficult to ask everybody. Okay? So although that's best, it's just hard to ask everybody. It's hard to get everybody in one place or find a way to get everybody's, So The other way, a sample is easier to get, but isn't as accurate. All right. So one of the best ways to select a sample that is representative of the entire population is to use random sampling. Okay, that's the best way. Don't try to figure out who has a different opinion. Just randomly pick people. All right, random samples. Everyone in the population must have an equal chance of being selected and for a sample to be actually random. So if everybody don't have an equal chance, it's not really random. For example, a survey is taken of favorite sports in the 7th grade, but only girls are surveyed. This is not a random sample. Why? Because we wanted to know everybody's favorite sport in 7th grade, but we only asked the girls. Boo. All right, next. The senior class president is hosting an after-graduation lock-in. She decided to conduct a survey of her classmates to hear input on the games, the food, and the prizes. The table below describes different methods she could use to collect the data. Determine if each method would produce a random sample by writing yes or no, and then tell us why. So I'm going to pause now and let you go through this and tell me if it's random. Pausing now. All right, welcome back. All right, first, she selects every 10th student as they get off the bus one morning. That is not a random sample. Why? Because it only includes people who ride the bus. What about the car riders? Okay, so what about the car riders? They weren't included, so it's not a random sample. Okay. She asked her choir director to allow her to survey the choir. Is that a random sample? She's wanting to know the whole graduating class. Is the choir class the whole graduating class? No. It only included choir members. What about the people who don't have choir? So it's just not a true random sample, okay? Could she do this? Obviously, she can do whatever she wants to do, but don't call it random because it ain't random. All right, the next one. She meets with the counselor who selects every 12th student on the school roster. Yes, because it's literally everybody in the grade, every 12th student. Okay? So this one is yes, because it has every student on the list. Not just the choir members or not just the bus riders. It has every student in the whole grade. Okay? She assigns each senior a number and then randomly selects 25 numbers. Is that random? Yes. She had the same list of everybody And she just randomly picked 25 numbers, which reflected people. So, yes. So this allows equal chance for each student to be selected. Because she's just blindly picking numbers. All right, E. She makes an announcement that people interested should meet in the library after school. Is that a true random sampling? No, because guess what? Some people didn't hear the announcement. Some people didn't decide to show up. So it wasn't truly random. So this is not random because it only includes people who choose to show up. Now, let's say she sent out a survey via email to every student and only some of them responded. Is it still a random sample? Yes, because every one of them had a chance, equal chance, to respond. Okay? So if she picked that list of names to the top 25 people or whatever, and she sent an email to all of them, and then let's say 3 of them didn't respond, is it still random? Yes, because they all had an equal shot to be sent to, and then some of them got it sent to, and they chose not to respond. That's different. Okay? On this one, they just chose not to come to her meeting. But as I said, some of them could have not been at school, so it wasn't truly random because they weren't there that day. F, a roster of the senior class is printed, that sounds right, and each student's name is put into a hat. The principal selects 25 names. Is that random? Yes. That's the same thing as D. I'm just going to put same as D because it is. All right, so we're going to use our understanding of random sampling to answer the question below. The public library is considered changing their hours to better support the Patreon's needs. They decide to survey their Patreons by asking when they typically visit the library. Describe how you should select a random sample of 50 library Patreons. Patreons basically means 50 people who come to the library. 50 let's say you got to pay to go to the library, 50 paid members to the library, okay? That'd be a good way for you to do it. All right, so write a scenario there for me. I'm pausing now. All right, welcome back. One way would be to print out a roster of Patreons. Print a roster of Patreons. And then select 50 random names off the list. That's one way. There's more than one. You could have drew a name out of a hat, whatever. All right, that's all for the fat guy in the back. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Adios, amigos.